34. Ms. Ventura met Mr. Combs in late 2005 or early 2006, after Mr. Combs heard Ms. Ventura's first single playing in a club and expressed interest in signing her to his label, Bad Boy Records. 25. At the time, Ms. Ventura was 19 years old. Mr. Combs was 37 years old. 26. Within months, in February 2006, Ms. Ventura signed a 10-album deal with Mr. Combs' record label. 27. Ms. Ventura's first album, Cassie, was released in August 2006, debuting at number 4 on the U.S. Billboard 200. 28. To promote the album, Ms. Ventura made television appearances on MTV's Total Request Live and Bet's 106 and Park. Ms. Ventura suffered from significant performance anxiety during these appearances, and press outlets were highly critical of Ms. Ventura's performances on these shows. 29. Mr. Combs, however, sought to rehabilitate his newly signed talent, telling MTV News. You could hear the nervousness in her voice. And to be honest, I kind of smiled at it, because it made me really appreciate what I really love about her. She's a regular person. It just made me appreciate that she got nervous, and it was kind of cute to me, to be honest. You've got to understand that success for her is coming out of nowhere. It's just so huge, and sometimes everybody handles it differently. 30. While clearly paternalistic in noting that it was cute to him how regular Ms. Ventura appeared, Mr. Combs' comments rang true to some extent upon signing with Bad Boy Records. Ms. Ventura was quickly thrust into the spotlight, and was unfamiliar with how to navigate her new celebrity status. 31. Mr. Combs' recognition and glorification owed the groundwork for his manipulative and coercive Ventura, a woman nearly 2 decades his junior. Ventura's naivete proved to set an antic and sexual relationship. 32. Within a year of signing with Bad Boy Records, Mr. Combs became deeply entrenched in Ms. Ventura's life, almost immediately asserting possession and control over her, and inserting himself into all aspects of her career and her personal life. 33. In November 2006, Mr. Combs invited Ms. Ventura to perform his song, Come to Me, along with him at the MTV Europe Music Awards in Copenhagen, Denmark. After rehearsal for the performance, Mr. Combs walked around in a robe with a drink in his hand, flaunting his lavish party lifestyle to his label's newly signed artist. 34. During hair and makeup leading up to the performance, Ms. Ventura's hairstylist and Mr. Combs' makeup artist told Ms. Ventura that Mr. Combs was interested in Ms. Ventura. Ms. Ventura shrugged off the gossip, and in fact expressed disgust given the large age gap between her and the president of her record label. 35. Emphasizing the age and power dynamic, early on in their working relationship, Mr. Combs positioned himself as a father figure and protector of Ms. Ventura. Ms. Ventura shrugged off the gossip, and in fact expressed disgust given the large age gap between her and the president of her record label. 35. Emphasizing the age and power dynamic, early on in their working relationship, Mr. Combs positioned himself as a father figure and protector of Ms. Ventura. By way of example, after returning to New York after a trip to Las Vegas, during which she endured a brief hospital stay, Ms. Ventura, who by then was fully healthy, went out to a club with her friends. When Mr. Combs saw her out, he reprimanded her, telling her to go home and take care of herself. At the time, Ms. Ventura thought that her record label was looking out for her well-being, and that Mr. Combs had her best interests in mind. 36. Mr. Combs also ensured he was intertwined with Ms. Ventura's personal and social life. For instance, by inviting himself to Ms. Ventura's 21 inches birthday party in Las Vegas. He also brought along famous musicians and producers, thereby flaunting his celebrity status and influence in front of a young and impressionable Ms. Ventura.
Hit the like bell as you come onto the page.
37. Although Mr. Combs knew that Ms. Ventura was in a relationship at the time, and even though he was publicly in a relationship with Kim Porter, Mr. Combs nevertheless pursued Ms. Ventura. At an after-party in a hotel suite following Ms. Ventura's 21 inches birthday party, Mr. Combs pulled Ms. Ventura into a bathroom and forcibly kissed her. Ms. Ventura did not consent to this unwanted contact. She immediately ran out of the bathroom in the hotel suite and cried. She told her best friend at the time about what had happened but was too scared to tell anyone else. 38. At the Video Music Awards the following day, Ms. Ventura's boyfriend at the time joined her and Mr. Combs at a table at the awards ceremony. Mr. Combs became angry, telling Ms. Ventura that the invitation to the awards ceremony was only for her and not for her significant other. Mr. Combs lures Ms. Ventura into a relationship. 39. Despite her clear rejection of Mr. Combs' advances, Mr. Combs continued to demand Ms. Ventura spend time with him, including for a weekend at Mr. Combs' residence in Miami, and for nights out in New York City. 40. On one particular night around September 2007, Mr. Combs insisted on taking Ms. Ventura out. Ms. Ventura acquiesced, fearing that rejecting Mr. Combs' request would have repercussions for her album deal with Mr. Combs and his company, Bad Boy Records. 41. Mr. Combs picked up Ms. Ventura from her aunt in Manhattan in a blue luxury vehicle. Ms. Ventura was surprised that when she got into the car, Mr. Combs was already inebriated. 42. He handed her a pill and told her to take it. When Ms. Ventura asked what the pill was, Mr. Combs dismissed her and told her she would like it. She later learned the pill was ecstasy, something Ms. Ventura had never before tried and did not want to try. This was the first time Mr. Combs got Ms. Ventura high. 43. Mr. Combs then proceeded to drive recklessly at very high speeds down the West Side Highway of Manhattan. Ms. Ventura was very scared, but did not dare to object to Mr. Combs, who appeared drunk, high, and agitated. 44. Mr. Combs took Ms. Ventura to an upscale lounge in downtown Manhattan, where he proceeded to get into an altercation with the security staff who would not permit Mr. Combs to enter, presumably because he was belligerent. Ms. Ventura decided to go home, but Page 57. Compounding this all-encompassing intrusion into her life, Mr. Combs secured his control over the young and impressionable Ms. Ventura by introducing her to a drug-fueled lifestyle that kept her complacent and compliant. Mr. Combs first introduced Ms. Ventura to opiates around 2008, and would often have pills and other drugs out in the open, like candy. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs has been addicted to prescription painkillers and took ecstasy frequently. 58. At first, Ms. Ventura was given the prescriptions that Mr. Combs received from a doctor in Miami, Florida. Eventually, when Mr. Combs exhausted his supply of pills, he demanded that Ms. Ventura procure prescriptions from this Miami doctor in her own name. 59. Mr. Combs also became deeply involved in Ms. Ventura's personal life, with his personal staff attending to Ms. Ventura's day-to-day travel and other needs, including medical care. On multiple occasions, Mr. Combs had Ms. Ventura's personal medical records sent directly to his email address. For instance, when Ms. Ventura began experiencing memory loss potentially due to excessive drug use and/or head injuries caused by Mr. Combs's beatings, as described below, her MRI results were provided directly to Mr. Combs. Mr. Combs also repeatedly arranged for his staff to drive Ms. Ventura to certain doctor's appointments. B. 60. In this way, Mr. Combs exerted ownership over Ms. Ventura. As another example of the ways in which he manipulated Ms. Ventura and ensured obedience, early on in their relationship, he asked Ms. Ventura what she called her grandfather. When Mr. Ventura said that she referred to her grandfather as Pop Pop, Mr. Combs perversely insisted that Ms. Ventura refer to him with that nickname. Opiates around 2008, and would often have pills and other drugs out in the open, like candy. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs has been addicted to prescription painkillers and took ecstasy frequently. 58. At first, Ms. Ventura was given the prescriptions that Mr. Combs received from a doctor in Miami, Florida. Eventually, when Mr. Combs exhausted his supply of pills, he demanded that Ms. Ventura procure prescriptions from this Miami doctor in her own name. 59. Mr. Combs also became deeply involved in Ms. Ventura's personal life, with his personal staff attending to Ms. Ventura's day-to-day travel and other needs, including medical care. On multiple occasions, Mr. Combs had Ms. Ventura's personal medical records sent directly to his email address. For instance, when Ms. Ventura began experiencing memory loss potentially due to excessive drug use and/or head injuries caused by Mr. Combs's beatings, as described below, her MRI results were provided directly to Mr. Combs. Mr. Combs also repeatedly arranged for his staff to drive Ms. Ventura to certain doctor's appointments. 60. In this way, Mr. Combs exerted ownership over Ms. Ventura. As another example of the ways in which he manipulated Ms. Ventura and ensured obedience, early on in their relationship, he asked Ms. Ventura what she called her grandfather. When Mr. Ventura said that she referred to her grandfather as Pop Pop, Mr. Combs perversely insisted that Ms. Ventura refer to him with that nickname. For the remainder of the night, Mr. Combs messaged Ms. Ventura incessantly, complaining that he left him high and alone. 45. In early fall 2007, Mr. Combs flexed his power and influence when he paid a promoter to create a fake flyer for a party hosted by Ms. Ventura. This fake posting allowed Ms. Ventura to have an excuse to go to Miami, Florida and get her away from her boyfriend by using the guise of a legitimate event she had to attend. Ms. Ventura was stunned at how easily Mr. Combs was able to recruit others to lie for him. 46. Ms. Ventura was uncomfortable with the fake flyer. But because the request to go to Miami was made by the owner of her record label, and because she was scared to go against his wishes and face repercussions to her nascent career, Ms. Ventura agreed to join Mr. Combs in Florida. 47. During this trip to Miami, Mr. Combs provided Ms. Ventura with copious amounts of drugs. She became more intoxicated than she ever had before, and her intoxication lasted throughout the weekend trip. As she wanted Mr. Combs to continue to support her career, she felt she could not refuse Mr. Combs urging her to take more drugs. After providing her with drugs, Mr. Combs had sexual intercourse with Ms. Ventura during this trip. 48. Within 2 years of meeting Mr. Combs, Ms. Ventura found herself lured into the immediate circle of her boss, the owner of her record label, and one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry. 3. Mr. Combs exerts control over Ms. Ventura's career and personal life. 49. From the very start of their relationship, Mr. Combs exerted his power and influence over Ms. Ventura. This dynamic was fueled by their nearly 20-year age difference, as well as their relative positions in the entertainment industry, with Mr. Combs considered a music mogul and Ms. Ventura at the very start of her career as an entertainer. 50. Mr. Combs' aggressive and demanding approach to those he worked with made it impossible for anyone to challenge him, and Ms. Ventura soon learned that Mr. Combs insisted on blind loyalty from everyone in his inner circle. 51. Although Ms. Ventura had saved up some earnings from her young modeling career, Mr. Combs' ostentatious display of wealth was intimidating to her. 52. Mr. Combs paid for things with wads of cash, and would repeatedly tell Ms. Ventura, "Don't worry about money, I have money." 53. Mr. Combs expensed lavish vacations for him and Ms. Ventura, purchased a car for her, paid for her apartment, and provided her with amounts of designer clothing. 54. Around 2008 or 2009, Mr. Combs rented an apartment in Manhattan for Ms. Ventura. The apartment was within walking distance of Mr. Combs' New York residence. He first showed Ms. Ventura the apartment by bringing her there along with her parents. Ms. Ventura's parents were skeptical of the mogul's displays of wealth, but proud of their daughter's newfound success. 55. Around 2010, Mr. Combs similarly paid for an apartment for Ms. Ventura in Los Angeles, which was located about 5 minutes away from Mr. Combs' residence. He paid for many of her apartments in California, and also purchased a Jaguar for her around 2013 or 2014. 56. All aspects of Ms. Ventura's life were controlled by either Mr. Combs or his management companies. Every event Ms. Ventura attended, from the travel to the makeup and clothing, was paid for directly by Mr. Combs and his affiliated companies. Opiates around 2008, and would often have pills and other drugs out in the open, like candy. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs has been addicted to prescription painkillers and took ecstasy frequently. 58. At first, Ms. Ventura was given the prescriptions that Mr. Combs received from a doctor in Miami, Florida. Eventually, when Mr. Combs exhausted his supply of pills, he demanded that Ms. Ventura procure prescriptions from this Miami doctor in her own name. 59. Mr. Combs also became deeply involved in Ms. Ventura's personal life, with his personal staff attending to Ms. Ventura's day-to-day travel and other needs, including medical care. On multiple occasions, Mr. Combs had Ms. Ventura's personal medical records sent directly to his email address. For instance, when Ms. Ventura began experiencing memory loss potentially due to excessive drug use and/or head injuries caused by Mr. Combs' beatings, as described below, her MRI results were provided directly to Mr. Combs. Mr. Combs also repeatedly arranged for his staff to drive Ms. Ventura to certain doctor's appointments. 60. In this way, Mr. Combs exerted ownership over Ms. Ventura. As another example of the ways in which he manipulated Ms. Ventura and ensured obedience, early on in their relationship, He asked Ms. Ventura what she called her grandfather. When Mr. Ventura said that she referred to her grandfather as Pop Pop, Mr. Combs perversely insisted that Ms. Ventura refer to him with that nickname. Violence and sex trafficking. Among other violent and unlawful acts, Mr. Combs raped Ms. Ventura in her own home after she tried to leave him. 3. The truth, however, is that Cassie Ms. Cassandra Ventura was held down by Mr. Combs and endured over a decade of his violent behavior and disturbed demands. For Ms. Ventura, the dark times were those she spent trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking. Among other violent and unlawful acts, Mr. Combs raped Ms. Ventura in her own home after she tried to leave him. Often punched, beat, kicked and stomped on Ms. Ventura, resulting in bruises, burst lips, black eyes and bleeding. Blew up a man's car after he learned that he was romantically interested in Ms. Ventura. Forced Ms. Ventura to engage in sex acts with male sex workers while masturbating and filming the encounters. Ran out of his apartment with a firearm in pursuit of a rival industry executive whom he learned was nearby. Demanded that Ms. Ventura to carry his firearm in her purse just to make her uncomfortable and demonstrate how dangerous he is, and introduced Ms. Ventura to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse and required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions. 4. Ms. Ventura met Mr. Combs in 2005, when she was 19 years old and he was 37 years old. He signed her to his label, Bad Boy Records, and within a few years, lured Ms. Ventura into an ostentatious, fast-paced, and drug-fueled lifestyle, and into a romantic relationship with him, her boss, one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry, and a vicious, cruel, and controlling man nearly 2 decades her senior. 5. Mr. Combs asserted complete control over Ms. Ventura's personal and professional life, thereby ensuring her inability to escape his hold. He provided unprecedented avenues for success for the aspiring artist, but in return, demanded obedience, loyalty, and silence. 6. Throughout their relationship, Mr. Combs was prone to uncontrollable rage, and frequently beat Ms. Ventura savagely. These beatings were witnessed by Mr. Combs' staff and employees of Bad Boy Entertainment and Mr. Combs' related businesses, but no one dared to speak up against their frightening and ferocious boss. 7. Following these episodes of horrific abuse, Mr. Combs would immediately attempt to hide Ms. Ventura and the evidence of his violent rage. He often showered her with gifts following incidents of physical violence, a typical pattern of behavior by serial abusers. 8. In addition to the physical assaults, Mr. Combs frequently reminded Ms. Ventura of his ability to cause serious harm, whether by requiring her to carry his gun in her purse or by blowing up the car of a musician that was romantically interested in Ms. Ventura. 9. Adding insult to injury, Mr. Combs used illegal substances and threats of violence to force Ms. Ventura into repeated unwanted sexual encounters with male sex workers. 10. Over the years that Mr. Combs abused Ms. Ventura physically and sexually, she again and again tried to escape his tight hold over her life. Every time she hid, Mr. Combs' vast network of corporations and affiliated entities found her, and those who worked for Mr. Combs' companies implored her to return to him. Many went as far as to explicitly state that her failure to return to Mr. Combs would hinder her success in the entertainment industry.
Like, share, and subscribe.
11. When she believed that she had finally separated from her longtime abuser, She joined Mr. Combs for a dinner, after which he forced her into her home and raped her while she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away.
Guys, there's another part to this video, part 4. It's coming after this one. Please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so as yet. Thank you.